Hello, my name is Kurt Sheldon, and I'm part of the team for the My Car Maintenance application. My team members are Ryan Browler and William Overmeyer, and I want to start with a quick demo and introduction to our application, and then we'll look at the code and the debugger. So I gotta be really quick with the demo. So if we go here, I already have an account set up, so Joe Dirt 123. Each account is started with a dummy car. And the idea of this application is that for each user, they can keep track of their different cars and the different services on them. So things like an oil change or a tire replacement. And then when they have those services set, it can give them reminders of when it thinks the next due date will be for it. Or the user can tell it when the next due date will be, and it'll send out a text or an email or something, which we don't have set up, but this is just a proof of concept so far. So right now, this user could come in here, make a new vehicle, say a Honda Civic 2013. Let's say it's black. So odometer's 50,000. ABC 1234. Some random number, save it. Here's the new vehicle, no services on it yet, no total cost on it yet. So we could come in here and then add a new service to it. We're going to say this was an oil change that happened on the 1st of this year, and it was when the odometer was at 40,000 and the cost was 100. I'll say oil change, Jiffy Lube, and then remind. We do want to set a reminder, and we want to make it odometer based. We say that. Okay, now it has that service and that service cost. You come in here, and because I'm low on time, I just want to show that it does, even with some arbitrary stuff in here. See, it does update these values, so, and it'll show you that. And in the database, here are those values. So there was that Honda Civic with the services, which was the oil change and the random thing I made up. So now let's actually start debugging. So now I have to switch to debug mode. And I want to set the breakpoints on, let's see, mostly the controller. So first we'll look at login, which I have 2 breakpoints set up. Guess the new user. Oh wow, there's a lot. Well, alright. So come in here. It's just going to render the login page, and it's going to give it a blank user DTO object to append to it. So nothing too exciting there. Now I can log in with Joe Dirt 123. And now it hits this other endpoint because it posted to it. It posted back to it with that those 2 fields. And now it's going to check if the user is authenticated. So I want to step over all these. I thought I did. Okay, well. Why? Okay, here we go. So step over, step over, step over. So it's just checking to see if the user exists. Okay, it does. So now it's going to say, go to the index page. It knows this user object. You see it was Joe Dirt. His password's 123, Joe Dirt. And if we keep stepping. So this is the background styles for the car, which it just gets from this service class, but I don't have enough time to show everything. So, okay, let's keep going through here. Alright, so now we're logged in. Now let's set a breakpoint. So we did hit the index page, which I think I stepped through too fast. So let me, one more time, remove the breakpoints from down here. Actually, better yet, let us just create a new user. So new user, here's the get. It's going to send us to the new user page with an empty object. So now we can create an account. I'm going to do my email address, some password. Okay, so now it comes in here to the post, and it's looking at this. It authenticates the user. Then it comes to the, creates the, okay, it sees that user doesn't exist, so it creates it. Which now, if we look in the database, here's my new user, ShellDocs. There was non-error, although I should have it catching in case there was one, and then it sets it to the index page and it adds this new user object to it. So then ThymeLeaf can help render out that HTML file. So I don't know why it does that, but you will see we are now logged in here. And here's that dummy vehicle you're given by default. So now if I go to edit vehicle, that would be vehicle single. So now let's look at that. And I first want to do the get. So click this. Okay, now we're here. It's going to parse the maintenance ID, which it knew what vehicle that was, and it's passing it this query string parameter. See here, string ID, which is the maintenance ID, and then it grabs the maintenance object based on that and it attaches it to the view. Then it gets a maintenance index, which is for some drop-down control, which you can ignore. And it attaches both these, the user and the vehicle object, essentially, to the view. So then here we are. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but this was an API call. So if you look here, if we go into sources and we go to this, we scroll down here. So here it's calling the API. So if I refresh this page, okay. Oh, but I want to turn off that breakpoint. Okay, so keep going. Alright, so it's in here. You'll see this is just an API. Whoops. Data. Some API with a ton of makes in it. So this was part of our project requirement to pull from an API or get JSON from an external resource. Alright, so this is where you would create the vehicle. This color list comes from the fact that these objects, or these vehicles, all have a certain car color, and then in JavaScript land, it will actually use that where it pushes to this color array. And I could show you the ThymeLeaf, but I've only got a minute left. So really, to wrap up, I think I demoed it, and I think I showed you some of it. There's also other endpoints like for upcoming items, the record single. I'm really sorry, I just didn't have enough time to cover everything. But to close up, I think that Java is really good for a backend. I'm not a big fan of the ThymeLeaf. So I would probably use Spring Boot to create some REST API service, and then I would make calls to it from a different service that I would be using for the whatever the user sees in the browser. So something that makes JavaScript and ThymeLeaf, well, ThymeLeaf wouldn't be in it, but it makes JavaScript easier to manage, and you have less spaghetti code, which honestly I ran into a lot with this project. But other than that, I really like Spring Boot, and I hope this proves some type of concept for our application, and thank you.